Coming up, over 100 Ghanaians stranded in Libya deported back to Ghana. And also coming up this afternoon, today is World Hepatitis Day, and we will explore the causes and some of the preventive measures. And coming up on the international front, more than 40 people have died in northeast Nigeria during an attempt to free people who had been ambushed in a convoy by militant Islamist group Boko Haram. These and more coming up this afternoon. Stay with us if you can. In our first story, the Minister of Food and Agriculture, Dr. Asiedu-Dartey, says the army worm is under control and expressed hope to record zero infections by next year. He said 14,413 farmlands have so far been destroyed by the disease. He was answering questions on the floor of Parliament. Let's listen to him.
The fall army worm invasion has been defeated by my government. We are in anticipation of the surpluses that we are expecting. We are making frantic efforts in order that we will store and make sure that not one single bean or one single grain is lost at the farm gate because of lack of markets.
And that's the Minister for Greek's assertion there that the army worm has been defeated. Let's now speak to Mr. Philip Abayori. He is the president of the Chamber of Agric, and he has just joined me via Skype. Great to have you this afternoon.
Yeah, fine. Thank you very much.
If you can speak up a bit for me. Now, the Agricultural Minister says that the army worm that attacked Ghana is being defeated. From your checks, is that the impression you also get?
Yeah, it's definitely it has been minimized, but you see, this kind of pandemic is not predictable. You know, army worm as they are, they multiply very fast, and time after time they can resurface. So I said they are, I mean, everything is under control, but we just have to monitor, because what happens is that they will always rejuvenate. So time after time, they will appear again. So the issue is that there should be a very serious surveillance system to ensure that anywhere we detect a small number of them, we need to be able to be very conscious. So for now, there are still pockets of areas that, you know, you cannot totally, this is a pest and it lives with us. It is only if it over multiplies that it becomes a menace. So I would say that it's under control, but we shouldn't just go to sleep, because they could come at any other time.
If you say it is under control, exactly what do you mean? Early in the day, we spoke to our correspondent in the 3 northern regions, and she said that some farmers are yet to plant their crops. So when you say the pest is under control, exactly what do you mean?
I think I told you that, you see, these are pests and they live with us. You know, it's not that the army worm just came from any other place. They live with us, and when they over-multiply, when the conditions become conducive for them, they over-multiply. And for that reason, you will always have a time that they will multiply depending on the conditions, and they could now tend to be a menace than being for good of the environment. So for that reason, we might have eradicated them, but what I'm saying is that they can resurface. So all it is that for us to ensure that we have surveillance systems to ensure that anywhere they are detected, we should be able to monitor, so that if they resurface, we should be able to at least contain them. You know, army worm is such that it's very sometimes if the farmers or those that are spraying themselves do not learn the way they behave. You will go in the morning to spray your farm, and when you are spraying at the top, but they are on the ground. So the next farmer who is around your area may go and spray his farm from the ground. You think you have completely eradicated the worm, but in the next 3 days they will resurface again, because we are not really doing the spraying in a very conducive manner to be able to, kill all of them. So they are not easy predators to eradicate completely, but you could reduce them. And in the meantime, we need to ensure that we have a very serious surveillance system. The farmers need to report any spot that they find them. We need to report to ensure that at least they are contained. Not only when there are other pests that we are likely to confront time after time. So we need, as a nation, to be very conscious and then have our emergency preparedness ready. That when we have planned to plant, we need to also be able to know that we have invaders who will invade us. So for that reason, we need to be able to ensure that we budget for these contingencies. This is an eye-opener because this time, for instance, we have seen that we have had armyworm in various regions. Previously, you could have them in one region, but the spread shows that we need to upscale. It's not only Ghana, Burkina Faso, Tanzania, Kenya, both Western and Eastern Africa have got, Southern Africa. So it's a menace that has come to stay with us, and we need to ensure that we put measures in place so that we will not be overwhelmed by this predicament.
For clarification's sake, you agree with the minister that the battle has been won, but what you are asking is that we should increase our surveillance so that wherever they are detected, we can deal with them.
Yeah, you see, what issue is that, sometimes when it goes to agreeing and not to agree, these pests, as the minister has spoke, today can emerge in a particular area because they multiply very fast, and then it will be contradictory. But I'm looking at it that we should not politicize this fall armyworm. We should look at it as a disaster that has come to plague the agricultural sector. And we should work towards trying to resolve it in a manner that will really be good for all of us. Because once the minister has said this, people are looking around. Before you see, there will be an outbreak somewhere today. Then it will be a question that, you said you have completely eradicated armyworm. They have, where we have found armyworm here. I remember some time ago, a drought came. And there was an issue for a minister to respond to the drought. He said, look, we have contained the drought. You cannot contain drought. Some of these are, they are natural disasters, which are not being brought by anybody, but they will affect us. And we need to work with them as a nation together. Okay. We don't need to score points because at one point and the other, there will be some particular lapses somewhere. If they are not lapses, they could also be that in one way and the other, these being pests, they can rejuvenate. And when somebody finds 3 armyworms, he can come and challenge the minister that, you say you have eradicated all the armyworm, they have appeared here. But I don't want us to go that way. I want us to look at when we find armyworm, it should be our duty to report and say, look, we found them here. We need support to be able to get all this contained so that as a nation, we build a very homogeneous agricultural sector, which will, provide us the necessary food security.
Wow. I'm grateful. Mr. Philip Abayomi is the president of the Chamber of Agriculture. They're talking to me of the minister's disclosure in Parliament. Now, we're moving on. Over 100 or more than 100 Ghanaians who have been stranded in Libya were Tuesday deported back to Ghana aboard an Africa Airways line. The returnees arrived at the Kotoka International Airport at about 4 p.m. Jonathan Adams spoke to some of the returnees.
The 100 Ghanaian returnees from Libya say they were kept in different prisons in Tripoli in that country. Almost all the returnees arrived at the Kotoka International Airport without any belonging except their clothes and shoes. According to them, harsh treatment were meted out to them in the different prisons in Libya. At the Kotoka International Airport in Accra, officials of the International Organization for Migration arranged food and money for them to go to their destinations.
They just arrest us just like that, to put us inside a prison for a couple of months now, no food, no anything.
We were arrested on the sea, on the ocean, Mediterranean, and they sent us to one prison. It was terrible. I can't speak that. It was see all my face. See, I lean. If you see my body, all scratches.
We'll bring you more on that story in the course of the day on other bulletins. But let's move on to the energy sector. A former Deputy Minister for Power, John Chinepo, has reportedly been detained by officials of the Ghana Police Service and National Security this morning in connection with the 2015 Mary Power deal. His home, according to sources, was also raided to search for documents in connection with the contract. The MP for Yape Gusogu was reportedly on his way to Parliament when he was stopped and held by for about 2 hours. The raid comes on the heels of a similar action taken on the former Minister for Power, Dr. Kwabena Donko, whose home was also subjected to search by some personnel of the Criminal Investigations Department. The cost of the AmeriPower deal was $510 million and received parliamentary approval on March 20, 2015. The current government contends that the country had been shortchanged by Mary, noting that the contractor PPR actually built and financed the plant at a cost of $360 million, yet Mary, which secured the deal, forwarded a bill of $510 million in the agreement. My guest in the studio is an energy analyst, Kojopoku. He's joined me. Grateful for your time this afternoon.
Hi, Bryce, how are you?
I'm great. I hope you're doing fine.
I'm okay.
Let's start from here. How government is handling this? Is it appropriate?
Well, I will not do it that way, but you will not go and say it's appropriate or not. You see, some of us have gone on the tangent that there is a deal which the government feels that was not done right. And the principals, be it the ministers at that time and the government officials, did not give Ghana a better deal. And they feel that they want to abrogate it. But because it's a contract which has a parliamentary assent, and it's a very legitimate contract, the only way you can abrogate it is if you find out that the principals of that agreement did something untoward. So there is a level of colluding and criminality to make sure that Ghana loses money. That is the only stance you can go on and abrogate the deal. You remember the Honorable Addison committee, which came up. Some of us said, look, this committee is not enough. And they've realized that what we were saying was right. You cannot go on the recommendation of the Addison committee and abrogate or renegotiate because the people will not do it. So that is why you've now seen this raid and trying to find that smoking gun. So what they are looking for, the detention, the raid, is to find a smoking gun, something that will now make it look like there was a colluding to let the government of Ghana lose money. That criminality, which every legal brain in the country have said that, look, unless you establish criminality in the agreement, you can abrogate it.
I see. But if the document, if this contract was approved by Parliament, whatever it is that we're looking for can't be found in Parliament?
Well, that's the interesting part, because 2 days ago, I think yesterday, I heard Honorable A.T. Hammond talking about something new has come to light and he wants to lay something on the floor of the House to rescind their parliamentary approval. Look, something interesting out of the Addison report. The Attorney General's advice, any document that goes to the floor of the House goes with the Attorney General's opinion. The Addison report did not cite that Attorney General's opinion. So the first question is, where is Attorney General's report? What did the Attorney General at that time tell the government that when the Addison committee sat, and that committee included somebody from the Attorney General, they could not produce the Attorney General's opinion? And it is very vital, because from my little checks, you cannot take a document to the floor of the House for the committee to pass it under plenary and whatever, because everybody supported it. Look, the minority and the majority, everybody supported that Ameri deal. There must have been an Attorney General's opinion, and the Addison committee couldn't cite that opinion. So there are questions to be asked, but are they going about it the right way? We all stand back and watch.
You won't describe it as inappropriate, but would you say that the raiding of homes, the detention of the people, instead of perhaps going to a Parliament, the government is on a wild goose chase?
Well, I wouldn't use the word the wild goose chase.
Would they get what they want?
They might do
from raiding homes.
Look, right? Me and you do things differently. They want to do something differently. Maybe they will achieve.
But is it appropriate?
I wouldn't want to say the word appropriate or not, because we don't know the information that's available to them. That is resulting for them to detaining and raiding houses. But to me, What you need to find is the smoking gun, that criminality. Maybe they have information that's why they are raiding houses. But whether you find information in somebody's house as pertain to the ministry is a different story, because this is a transaction that went from VRA and the ministry. Right. And those two entities, if you go to VRA right now, they will have the documents. The Attorney General will have documents. If you cannot find certain documents that are supposed to be in VRA, the Ministry of Energy, or the Attorney General, then you now call the principals involved and say, look, where is this document? Example, the Attorney General's opinion. Where is it?
Let's do our own analysis here. When the deal was brokered, civil society went against it and said, look, this is not something Ghana should have signed on to. Now tell me briefly, what is it at that time that we felt was wrong? Okay,
there are two companies.
Right.
There's Medca and there's Ameri. Medca is the company that everybody knows, a well-established company in Turkey. Okay? Is it Greece or Turkey, one of those countries? Medca is an international. You go online, you Google Medca, you get all the work they've done around the world. Ameri, on the other hand, nobody knows about. Ameri, if you look at the corporation, the deal, no, around the world.
In terms of
Ameri around the world, energy, Ameri, in terms of what Ameri does, is very scanty. Okay, so the question that ASEP, from day one, ASEP was the ones who came strongly against this deal. Like, look, you are going to buy something for 510 million. This deal at 510 million can be gotten much cheaper. ASEP even came up with 220. Okay, and the parliamentarians came and said, look, they need to be auxiliary and blah, blah, blah. And they said, okay, yes, even if you're going to do auxiliary, the auxiliary doesn't cost the difference.
Right.
You can have 220, which is 22 million per plant, 10 of them 220. Then the extra 80 million can be the auxiliary. The government said, no, it is all these things that come, blah, 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 that cost 510. So bottom line, from day one, we knew that there was a difference.
Right.
That difference of 100, which could be accounted for, which is a 110. The plant itself costs 220 to buy brand new from GE. Obviously, you're not buying it from GE. You're buying it from somebody else.
Right.
So you should pay more. But the more is not 510. So that is the problem from day one. And the issue is that the company in Ghana now doing the deal, it's not Ameri, it's Medca. And the question I want everybody to ask is that, who came to Ghana first, Medca or Ameri?
That's the $1 million question you want
to
answer. In wrapping up, could Parliament, when the Honorable Katie Hammond decided to move a motion for a review, could that have been possible?
I don't know their standing orders in Parliament, and I don't know what the from what other parliamentarians were saying. It is not done.
It is not done.
But I don't know what he has. But the point is, yes, if there are new evidence. But my problem, and I'll repeat it here again, parliamentarians should take their time in approving things. Parliamentarians should take their time in doing research. If they have done all these things, we wouldn't be where we are. If ASEP were taken serious, we wouldn't be where we are.
If an individual goes to court, can we see the end of this too?
No, I doubt it. The courts, from the little legal I know, courts do not make new laws for parties. They can only interpret laws made between two parties. So if you are going to court, what are you going to court on? It is you see, on the face of it, it is a legitimate contract.
Finally, so for you, the only way to get to the bottom of this is to find that criminality.
Yes, that the parties who orchestrated or agreed the agreement had a colluding or criminal in nature, intent, so that you can now fault the agreement. If you can find the criminality against the architect of the agreement, then you can fault the agreement.
I'm grateful, Kojo, for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much for speaking. Kojo Poku is an energy analyst talking to me about the American. We'll follow that closely and get you more. Now, the minority in Parliament has accused the Speaker of disrespecting and frustrating them. The group threatened to boycott proceedings if the trend continues. This follows what the minority says is the Speaker's refusal to recognize both the minority leader and minority chief whip during proceedings on Thursday.
The Minister of Food and Agriculture had appeared before Parliament to answer questions on the expenditure, participation and status of the Planting for Food and Jobs program. After some MPs had asked their questions, the Speaker then told the minority leadership to ask their questions. The minority chief whip, Muntaka Mohamed Mubarak, took his turn. When he was done and the minority leader rose to ask his questions, the Speaker had a challenge, indicating when he says leadership, he means one person speaks for the front bench.
When I rose, I specifically, and I want the answer if you want to print it for you, I said
I will make an application to contest your ruling. It was respect for the rules. I was unhappy about your ruling, but because I respect the rules, I serve you notice that I will make an application.
The Speaker then moved on to the majority leadership, disallowing the minority leader from asking his questions. The minority chief whip, who was also on his feet for a couple of minutes, was also overlooked. And when he had the opportunity, he vented his anger.
The day before yesterday, there were questions that were supposed to be asked yesterday in this house. They were not on the other paper. You didn't give us the opportunity to raise them. Yesterday, we advertised. There were questions to be asked today again. They've not been put on the other paper. You are not giving us the opportunity to even air our views. If the Speaker thinks we should not be here to air our views and concerns of our side, we will be ready to walk out so that you carry out the business with only the majority. Why?
Mr. Speaker, so if my colleague, the chief whip for the minority, is unhappy about a directive or a ruling by the Speaker, the avenues are open to the person.
This is not the first time the minority has complained about the conduct of the Speaker.
We are frustrated by the way he's running the House, and we are assuring him, if we don't see change in the way he conducts business in the House, definitely we will advise ourselves. We are just reminding him we have at least the minority. We have more than 1/3 of the House, and he knows the implication of what I mean, that we have at least more than 1/3 of the House.
The minority there. We'll stay with them because that group in Parliament has threatened to impeach the Speaker of Parliament. Now, is this possible, and what are the processes? This report will take a look at what exactly goes into impeaching a Speaker. It was put together by Mercy Darling Loco.
Order 107 of the Standing Order of the Parliament of Ghana clearly spells out processes for the removal of the Speaker or Deputy Speaker of the Legislature. Order 107 Clause 1 states that a motion for the resolution to remove from office Mr. Speaker or Deputy Speakers shall be moved in the following manner. 7 days notice signed by 1/3 of all members of Parliament shall be given. The motion shall be debated in Parliament within 14 days of its receipt by Mr. Speaker and shall be supported by the votes in secret ballot of not less than 3/4 of all the members of Parliament. Prior proceedings shall be taken in a committee appointed in that behalf. The Speaker or the Deputy Speaker shall be entitled to be heard in his defense either by himself or a representative. Section 2 of the same Order 107 indicates that neither Mr. Speaker nor a Deputy Speaker in respect of whom proceedings for removal has commenced shall preside over such proceedings.
Thanks so much for staying. Now, today is World Hepatitis Day, and that's a day that certainly affects you and me. An estimated 325 million are affected by the viral hepatitis worldwide. Now, we're told that the day is to raise awareness on the global burden of viral hepatitis and to influence real change. Let's quickly check some of these statistics on your screens now. That's what I told you earlier. 325 million are affected by the viral hepatitis worldwide. Now, out of this number, 257 million people are living with hepatitis B and 71 million are living with some other form of the disease. Now, the World Health Organization has a global target of reducing new viral hepatitis infections by 90%, and this is to reduce the number of deaths due to the disease by 65% by 2030. Now, WHO statistics in 2012 has also shown that 1 out of 5 Ghanaians has hepatitis B. That's how dangerous the whole thing is. And of course, Ghana is rated as a country with a high risk of hepatitis B. WHO has a global target of reducing new viral hepatitis infections by 90%, and this is to reduce the number of deaths due to viral hepatitis by 65%. The target here is 2030. That's what WHO is working at. My guest this morning is a public health specialist and a lecturer at the Valley View University and a viral hepatitis expert, Charles Ampongweje. Grateful for your time this afternoon.
Thank you very much.
Let's start from here. Is hepatitis new that people don't know what it is?
Thank you very much. It's not a new thing.
It's not a new thing.
Hepatitis has been around for a very long time. Just that people have not shown so much interest to know a lot about it. Again, government has not been so much committed to champion hepatitis agenda. It's not only in Ghana, but almost all over the world. And that is why it has called for a target of elimination by 2030.
If we look at WHO's statistics that show that Ghana is a risk country, how come people don't take the disease serious?
The reason is very simple. As a country, we don't have a good strategy to fight hepatitis. Everybody in this country is supposed to have an idea about hepatitis, and this is supposed to be done by the ministry. But of course, if you look at our response against hepatitis in this country, we have a huge gap. So the issue is about institutional issue, and it also has to do with some interest that people do not have.
Is it also because people can still function normally when they have the disease? Is that the reason?
It's also one of the factors because, you know, you may have hepatitis and you are likely not to even show any signs and symptoms. And you report to the hospital at a very late stage. So most often people don't feel that I am so much worried, I have any sickness in my body because it doesn't show. It's only few people who demonstrate some clinical manifestations, and that is why.
In this situation, what do we do to reverse all these figures that we've just read?
I think we need to handle the issue in another way. As a country, one of the things that we know that contribute to viral hepatitis, especially the B, in this country is mother-to-child transmission. So we need to develop intervention to fix this issue immediately. The problem is that almost every child who is exposed to the virus at birth, as we speak now, is at risk of getting the infection. Our response as we speak today is that the child must wait until he hits 6 weeks before we introduce a vaccine called pentavalent vaccine. So we don't have a birth dose vaccination as we speak today.
We don't have them.
We don't have a birth dose vaccination as a national policy. Taiwan started a birth dose vaccination in 1984. Around that time, they were having a prevalence of about 10%. And in 2009, it has reduced to about 0.9%. That is significant. In Nigeria, they have introduced. As we speak now, in our country, we don't have any policy that ensures that we have a birth dose vaccination.
So kids born with the infection would have to just carry it along?
Yes, you have to wait until you get
6 weeks.
6 weeks before we give you the pentavalent vaccine, which is a gap.
So we don't have it because it is not a policy, or because of what?
Because we need government commitment in order to implement the strategy. And that is exactly what the global community is calling for. We need government to be interested that every child who is born in this country receive the birth dose. I work in a hospital, and I can tell you a lot of mothers come around, they cannot afford the vaccine. Even though the hepatitis vaccine is cheap, obviously they cannot afford, and you cannot do anything about it. So we need government to at least consider the hepatitis B vaccine as part of our response to the burden of hepatitis.
Are you suggesting a thing like the 6 childhood killer diseases that it should be put on the list?
You see, we have what we call monovalent vaccines.
Right.
And this is a single vaccine that is given to the child at birth. And when you administer this vaccine, it has the potential of averting mother-to-child transmission. So if the mother is positive and the child is exposed to the virus, around that time the child would have even gotten the vaccine and build the immunity against it. But this is a situation as a country, you have to wait until 6 weeks. Then we introduce the first hepatitis vaccine. You wait again for 10 weeks and you take the second, and 14 weeks you take the third vaccine. So it means that we have a very huge gap as far as our response is concerned. And if we continue like this, I don't think that we can meet the target of 2030.
Whose duty is it to remind government government that this is necessary? Is it the Ghana Health Service?
I think the Ghana Health Service, the Ministry of Health, and other relevant stakeholders, including NGOs in the country, needs to wake up.
When we ignore this, how dangerous? What are the implications?
The implication is that if a child is exposed or a newborn is exposed to the virus at a very early stage, then what it means is that the person has the potential of developing what we call the chronic condition. And once you develop the chronic condition, you also have the potential of developing the complications associated with the infection. And that includes liver failure, it includes liver cancer, and also cirrhosis of the liver, that is the scarring of the liver. So all these are the things that contribute to the high mortality of viral hepatitis all over the world. So what it means is that if you tackle the issue from the roots, by administering the BEV dose, it means that all the complications we have talked about is going to be avoided.
I'm grateful for your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thanks for speaking to me. Charles Ampong is a public health specialist and a lecturer at the Valley View University and a viral hepatitis expert. Grateful for your time tonight. Now, let's turn our attention to some other issues. The 30-kilometer Manfi Koforidua Road is to be closed to traffic on Friday, July 28, between the hours of 6 a.m. and 12 noon for rehabilitation works. Officials of the Ghana Highway Authority say the work is expected to be completed in 6 weeks.
The Road and Transport Minister Kwesi Amwakwata and highway officials made this known when they went to the site to assess the extent of damage on the Tinkonya Mebetred Koforidua Road that caved in weeks ago. The Koforidua Manfi Road, according to highway officials, is a surface dressing road constructed some 25 years ago and maintained by resealing and pothole patching. Motorists are being asked to use the Ebri in Sawam, Edukrom Nkrankai and in Sawam Suhum alternative roads during the period of closure. Officials at the Ghana Highway Authority explained the rehabilitation work on portions of the Cave Road and other portions of Tinkonya Mebetred Road is expected to cost 12,000 cedis.
This is Midday Live. Coming up on the international front, we'll tell you that some 40 persons have been killed in Nigeria. But when we return from the break, we have sports. Stay with us. Welcome back. Before the sports team steps in, let's talk some business now. The Association of Ghana Industries is questioning the rationale for reducing the policy rate while interest rates remain high in banks. The Chief Executive Officer, said Chuma Kwabwa, says the Bank of Ghana must ensure that banks lower their interest rates so industry can have full benefit of the reduction.
Has kept reducing for September last year. Inflation dropped from 17.2% to the current 12.1% in June. Besides, there has also been a 300 basis point reduction in policy rate, but response from banks in the average lending rates have only been a 5 basis point reduction. Reacting to the cut in the policy rate, the Association of Ghana Industries said it welcomes the move by the central bank, saying the 150 basis point cut is a positive development for the sector, but expressed the hope that the reduction will reflect in the lending rates by banks.
The challenge, though, is that if the policy rate has come down, one would expect the interest rate to also follow. But so far, we are not seeing that much happening. So that is where the challenge is.
Economists with Data Bank Courage Boti said interest rates need to fall faster than it is falling now, despite the issue of high non-performing loan as well as the high cost of operations.
Interest rate need to fall faster than it is now. You can understand why it's sticky, but then I think the banks should do more. Otherwise, the Bank of Ghana is just creating money for these banks that are in here because they have lower cost of fund and they lend it out at higher rates and they make absurd profits. So there is a need for it to fall to an acceptable level.
The governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, said the monetary transmission mechanism, which is expected to impact on the cost of credit, will take time to manifest.
We are operating a market-based system. So we don't want to get to the stage where the central bank would be legislating lending rates for banks. This is why it's important that you should allow the system itself to push the lending rates down through the market mechanism, provided we continue with the disinflation process that we are seeing. This is the model.
In more businesses, the Minister of Communication has asked government institutions to migrate their official communication emails onto the official government email domain before the end of the year. Madam Eslowusu Ekufo cautioned it is not safe for government institutions to share information through email domains that are not secured.
The minister asked government agencies and MMDAs to consult National Information and Technology Agency for all their IT needs. She added that since Ghana is fast becoming a smart country, government emails without the official government domain will not be accepted because of the high security risk in using such platforms.
By the end of this year, we don't want to receive any official communication from any ministry, department, or agency on any email platform other than .gov.gh. That information is not your personal information. It is official communication. You're doing government's work. And so that must be on the government platform.
Meanwhile, the Acting Director General of NITA Ghana, Jeffrey Konedu-Addo, said his outfit is rebranding to attend to all the technological needs of government agencies and MMDAs. The agency will also provide a common secured platform for all government communication. He suggested the agency be made an authority to consolidate all IT personnel and deploy them to government agencies.
It's time that we look at people working in the government agencies, IT people, and structure them such that they are placed into one basket, look at the structure of their remunerations, and offer a better package so that they can stay and work for government.
A participant at the meeting from the Lands Commission expressed satisfaction but stressed the need for more collaboration among stakeholders.
If NITA is trying to operate like an accountant general, then I think it's a good thing. Then all the IT would be under one umbrella, will be managed and paid from there, but will be working for the various organizations.
The Acting Deputy Director General, Kwekuche Ofori, said NITA is rebranding to offer quality services.
And of course, there's more business on News 360. But yeah, Fusulami is ready and has all the news from world of sports. Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Bright. How are you doing?
Great. Hope you're fine too.
I'm okay too. And coming up, sports. Hi, good afternoon. My name is Yao Fusula with the latest sports updates. Now, the Black Stars Team B have stepped up their preparations for a double-header of qualifiers against the Burkina Faso as they bid to reach the 2018 Championship of African Nations. 28 players selected from across the Ghana Premier League are going through their paces in Pram Pram for the first of two games on August 12th under supervision of Black Stars assistant coach Maxwell Konedu, who is confident the team will be ready and able at the time. On arrival of the TV3 sports team at the training camp, Black Stars assistant coach Maxwell Konedu was in charge of the training session with his technical team. He took the players through training drills to keep them in shape ahead of the qualifier. 28 players called from various clubs in the Ghana Premier League were in camp. With the inclusion of 5 Kumasi Asante Kotoko players, 6 players including linchpin Majid Ashimeru were called from league leaders Wafa, 3 from Accra Hearts of Oak and 4 from Adriana Stars. Coach Maxwell Konedu is confident his team is ready to face the Burkinabes.
Preparation has been good. The boys are doing their best. We are very confident, but we also need to know that we're going to play against a very strong opponent. So we respect our opponent, but we are confident we can always win, even away from home. But just that we also have to know that Burkina is also a very, very good side.
Kumasi Asante Kotoko forward Sadiq Adams is fit and running again after the accident on July 12. Now on national duty, he hopes he can help the team to a victory
in Burkina Faso.
Even though it happens, you just have to come back and train hard to psych yourself and get back to the field. This is what we do, so we just have to forget everything and continue. So I think the preparation has been good.
Accra Hearts of Oak's Winford Kobina has had a taste of both senior teams. He was included in Kwesi Appiah's squad for the AFCON qualifier against Ethiopia in June and has now reported to base to take on a different national assignment. He says the experience he garnered while training with the senior national team will tell when the local side plays Burkina Faso and is confident of a Ghana win.
It will be a tough game, but with the kind of training, the preparation and everything, I think we can go there and then win the game.
The local Black Stars have been runners-up twice at the tournament in 2009 and 2014. So staying with local football, the 2017 WAFU tournament was launched on Thursday with Ghana set to face Gambia in the opening game. Speaking at the draw of the sub-regional tournament, ex-Ghana international Samuel Osei-Kuffour is confident of an impressive showing at the tournament but has admonished supporters not to put pressure on the boys.
Everybody is expecting Ghana to win. That's why I'm expecting Ghana to win. But I'm not surprised and I'm not convinced that it could go to the other way because we believe in our ability, we believe in our players. But the challenge here is our league is very strong enough to win the tournament. That's why everybody is worried about the draw. But I'm happy for the draw. Why? Because our players need to be tested. And the league, if the league is good, we will see from this tournament.
Looking at our guys, do you think we are ready?
Saying that we are ready is a question mark. But it have to come from psychological, if the players are ready or not. Physically, they train every day. They are very strong boys. But my concern is how they will perform. And I'm much confident that they will do it. It's only we have to just give them the benefit of the doubt, not to put pressure on them. Most of the players haven't been in this situation before. So if we want them to play the best, we have to be very normal with them, not to put pressure on them.
To some very interesting news, and Brazilian star Neymar stormed out of Barcelona training this morning as his exit from the Spanish giant appears to move closer. In an exclusive video obtained by Sportsmail, the Brazilian international walked off the pitch after a fight with new Barcelona signing Nelson Semedo. Neymar has been linked with the world record move to Paris Saint-Germain, and his walkout now looks to make that move even more likely. In the video, things initially appeared to be going as usual, with the Brazilian tucking away a goal during a small-sided game. However, Neymar and right-back Semedo tangled in a challenge for the ball, with the striker squaring up with a new arrival from Benfica. The furious striker then tore off his training bib and threw it to the ground as manager Ernesto Valverde stood helpless close by, stalking off with a ruthful pat on the back from Javier Mascherano. To our last story this afternoon, and it is the most unlikely sport that you would ever see a Ghanaian involved in. Winter sports has never been particularly fanciful in Ghana or for Ghanaians, but one man is hoping to change that. Sprinter, bobsledder and skeleton athlete Akwesi Frimpong hopes his rise from a boy in Kumasi to the winter sports can help make that difference. Frimpong was born in Ghana but raised in the Netherlands and is a former Dutch national youth champion in the 200 meters. A 31-year-old former sprinter who discovered his talents for bobsleigh and skeleton after an ankle injury cut short his sprint career has gone on to compete at several international events. And despite the challenges that the weather provides, he is confident he can help the sport gain grounds in Ghana.
Now we are targeting the 6 major regions here in Ghana, and we want to recruit different young athletes that are passionate about trying something new. So we are really looking for any kind of athlete. It just happens to be sprinters, can be former tennis players, former handball players, whoever wants to give something new a try, and we're just looking for speed and physical strength.
While helping others get to grips with the sport, Frimpong is also working at becoming a master at it and hopes all will come together nicely at the 2018 Winter Olympic Games.
It's my goal to go to the Olympics. It's a real introduction for me to put Ghana on the map in the sport of skeleton. I'm the second athlete ever to do winter sport for Ghana, but the very first one of whole West Africa to actually do skeleton. So we want to put Ghana on the map in 2018 and show these Ghanaian kids that it's possible. We want to develop a team to have our own Ghana bobsled team and skeleton team at the Olympics in 2022.
And the first time that we've had Ghana represented in ice sliding.
That in the sports news here on Midday Live. My name is Yao Fusulabi. There's more sports news on News 360 when Thierry Nyan joins you. We'll take a quick break. Midday Live continues.
And Ghana's Most Beautiful a competition is on, and the contestants who are shortlisted for the 2017 edition are really hopeful of making it. But they say that if they don't, they will move on. They are aged between 18 and 35. We're told currently they are undergoing medicals. Let's check out the young ladies who are bidding for the crown.
Although some will be evicted eventually to make way for the final 10, the ladies are optimistic after 2 days of intensive medical screening. The 23 shortlisted ladies will be taken through a final round of question and answers after the results of the medicals are declared. The 23 comprise 2 contestants from each region, except the Volta, Central, and Upper East region, who have 3 representatives each. While some will be disappointed if they don't make it, others believe life must go on.
I would be sad, but it's a competition, so we all count to be queens, we all count to be picked to the house, so definitely there should be a winner.
Of course, nobody came this far to be told no, and I really hope that this time I go through, but if I don't, life goes on.
If I don't make it, I'll go back to school. It just means that it's not part of God's plans for me. Maybe it's not my time this year.
Others who have tried more than once were determined to grab the bragging right. Organizers of the pageant say the rationale behind picking more than one contestant for the medicals is to make provision for emergencies such as when some contestants pull out of the competition on a health ground. Ghana's Most Beautiful 2017 will be launched on August 20.
And so, more of that, a play on the years of slavery and colonial rule has been staged ahead of Emancipation Day on August 1. The Musu performance was at the National Theatre in Accra.
There were performances from the Bibi Groma Group and the National Dance Company. The stage play showcased Ghana's rich cultural heritage, telling the African story the African way. The week-long project, which runs through July 25 to August 2, seeks to trace Africans back to their roots and to help them define their cultural identity. Artistic Director of the National Dance Company, Asiedu-Dartey, highlighted the key activities for the festival.
As part of the Emancipation Day and the Panafest celebration, this production is going to go to Cape Coast on Friday, and of course other artistic groups.
Marketing manager of the Ghana Tourism Authority, Ben Anani Insia, reiterated government's commitment to ensuring the preservation of Ghana's cultural heritage.
Culture and tourism, they work closely together, and especially in a season like Panafest and Emancipation, where the link between the Africans on the different continents is being highlighted some more.
The Pan-African Historical Theatre Project seeks to reunite Africans with the continent and celebrate 25 years this year.
Now let's check some news from the international front. More than 40 people have died in northeast Nigeria during an attempt to free people who had been ambushed in a convoy by Boko Haram. These and many coming up.
More than 40 people have died in northeast Nigeria during an attempt to free people who had been ambushed in a convoy by militant Islamist group Boko Haram, sources have told the BBC. At least 5 members of an oil exploration team were killed and soldiers also died. Army chiefs have now been ordered to relocate to the affected area. The high number of casualties will be a blow for the government, which insists the insurgency is all but defeated. At least 20,000 people have been killed and thousands more abducted since Boko Haram launched its insurgency in the city of Maiduguri, northeast Nigeria in 2009.
Of course, there's more news on our website, 3news.com. Thanks so much for your time, from me and the crew. Have a good afternoon and stay right here on TV3.